All right, so and now, the heart of Rockin recovery are storytellers. Each of them is bravely sharing their recovery journey with us, reminding that healing grows stronger when it's shared in community. Let's welcome our first storyteller. Please welcome Becca Chicorli, a nature enthusiast, animal lover, and a proud mother of 3. Becca has overcome many challenges in her life, from teenage pregnancy to earning her master's degree in counseling psychology, and is now an owner of Healing Roots Ecotherapy. She serves on the board of the Drug Awareness Committee and is a passionate advocate for recovery in our community. Please welcome Becca Chicorli to the stage. My notes.
Welcome. Can everyone hear me in the back? Thumbs up. Awesome. Good at keeping our voices down for respect for these speakers. I love it. Hello, everyone, and thank you for your attendance today at this event. I am so grateful to be a part of for the second year in a row. My name is Becca Chicorli. I am a registered psychotherapist and owner-operator of Healing Roots Ecotherapy with 1.5 years of sobriety. I am here today, thanks. I am here today to share my story, to bridge the gap between helplessness and hopefulness, and to help end the stigma on mental health and addiction, to remind us all that there is no growth without pain. No one said it would be easy, they just said it would be worth it. The dark night of the soul, a place I thought I knew. Surprises await in this new hellhole, my demons in the corners grew. A moment so quick, my world crashes down. The water so shallow, yet still I may drown. Life I once knew is gone, blown away. A candle to a flame, to blazing fire I fray. A strong swimmer with no air in my lungs, clinging to life, pretending it's fun. Will it be vengeance or will it be defeat? A race I must run with no soles for my feet. What will I do, so lost in despair? Alas, beacon of hope strikes the distance, a flare. So far away, yet still not out of sight. On my knees, I crawl, I dare not lose fight. Into a foreign place, I find my footing. It's time to pave way to a new beginning. Starting over for me, not lust nor love, but lessons from a mourning dove. She cries to me, slow down and rest. Take time in silence, for you are blessed. With an open heart and a healing touch, you will go places if you don't rush. No answers needed, just faith and prayer. Leaves in the wind dance from love in the air. For Creator gives us strength in solace. To find serenity in chaos is flawless. Into the dark night of the soul, humble me softly and make me whole. My roots grow strong, branches long, into the light of awakening. The dark night of the soul is like a death of self, when everything around us, everything we once knew, feels like it's crumbling, and we are trying to hold on to things that no longer serve us. People, ideas, and belief that are no longer in line with where we want to be. We all experience this metaphysical death, especially those in my recovery fellowship. We have to lose ourselves in order to be reborn again into what we are now. This is my story of death and rebirth. February 27th, 2024. A day after my daughter's 11th birthday, I walked through the kitchen covered in Taco Tuesday's dirty dishes, messy counters and stove, into the living room where a Mount Everest-sized pile of laundry greeted my arrival. Overwhelmed with life and dealing with stress heavier than my shoulders could bear, I found 2 bottles of wine in the cupboard. Woo-hoo! It felt like a gift. I sparked up another joint, probably the 10th of the day, delighted that I had something to take the edge off, unaware of how my life was about to change. I placed my phone down on the table to avoid the pain of the unanswered texts. Where were the friends that I called family? They were supposed to be here. I grabbed the bottle of wine, because who needs to dirty another glass? My joint and my journal, and sat in my Nona's favorite chair. Feet on the wall, I began to process the emotions that led me to this moment. Typical addict behavior. I could easily justify myself. I was fine. A couple of antidepressants in the morning, 3-ish grams of weed throughout the day, sometimes wine or bourbon in the evening. It was fine. Unknowingly, I was an addict, unaware of how these thoughts created a vicious cycle. And no one had told me not to mix weed with the prescription I was taking for depression. How was I supposed to know that I had been spiraling into a state of psychosis for probably months now, maybe longer? At this time of my life, I struggled with not knowing how to move forward, wanting to leave it all behind. So I justified my addiction. That night, the journal was helping, but the alcohol was not. Before I knew it, I had put my foot through the drywall in attempts to process a difficult emotion. But that didn't scare me. It was a relief. The relief I felt in this moment of destruction urged me to keep going, and it wasn't long before the wall was gone. Mount Ever laundry, now covered in drywall and dust. Now my friends had no choice but to come over. They had to help me clean up my mess one last time. My path of destruction went on for a few more hours, and when I woke up in the morning, everyone was gone. In a moment of despair, I lost all my friends, but worse, I lost my kids. A helplessness I never knew. Confused and scared, I found my way to the residence at Homewood Mental Health Facility, where I was diagnosed with ADHD, BPD, and addiction. The death of a lifetime of trauma and the weight of my negative beliefs was ahead of me. I had been drowning out and justifying this with addiction for my whole life. It all made so much sense now. A rebirth was on the horizon. I just needed to surrender to the truth that I am the only one holding me back. I was adopted at about 6 months of age. Growing up, I would fantasize about my other life, this fantasy I made up in my head to kill the loneliness. Everything I knew about myself was based on my adoption. I made friends by telling them that when we turned 18, they could come with me to meet my birth family, who would likely be rich, and I would inherit a lot of money or have a twin that I had been separated with at birth. Oh, how naive. I used to always say that it felt like a piece of a puzzle was missing. But what I didn't realize was that I needed to undo the puzzle. All the pieces had shifted shapes, and I need to take that puzzle apart, start at the beginning, and put the pieces back together again. So much to unpack before I was ready to move on. So many questions I had to accept as unanswered. How could I let go of these fantasies that kept me safe for so many years? I had to learn how to feel, to let the inner child in me experience 34 years of pain all over again so I could change the story. I had to grieve a life that never existed and a future that could never come true. But most of all, I had to forgive. Forgive myself and forgive everyone who walked out on me. I had to accept that we only know what we know and that people come into our lives and leave us, not because we are unworthy of love, but because they no longer serve us. I had to experience a death of self, a pain I learned how to feel. Through intensive therapy, education, the right diagnosis, proper medication, and with many, many nature walks around Homewood property where I met some very influential wildlife, the rebirth began. Sobriety started to seem manageable, and so did my mental health. The grief got easier to feel with the more pieces I was able to put together, and then I began to feel joy. Not the type of joy that was induced by a substance, but real joy. Pleasure and pain, yin and yang, a much needed balance. When I came home from treatment, I was so scared to start over. I reached out to a friend of mine from grade 8, a friend who I knew was in the recovery community. It was really hard for me to admit that I was an addict. I blamed the psychosis. I contemplated controlled use, toyed with the idea of California sober. But I knew it much longer than I cared to admit. Going to meetings gave me a sense of belonging I had never felt until the day I walked into a room filled with people who have had to die to be reborn. A shared experience of pleasure and pain. It was like I was finally home. I jumped headfirst into the recovery community, maybe a little too much at first. Clearly, balance is something I've never been good at. I have been sober now for over a year and a half, and I help out with the DEC Foundation. I am a board member of the Thunder Bay Drug and Awareness Committee. I helped plan this beautiful event today, and I sit on a couple other planning committees for bringing awareness to the addiction community. Even though I don't attend meetings regularly, one of the things that I know for sure is that I still feel like home when I enter one of those rooms. I am loved because I am worthy. I still struggle. Life still throws curveballs at me. I still get overwhelmed and want to leave it all behind. But I am here today, sharing my story with each and every one of you to let you know that we are not defined by our addictions. We are not defined by our mental health, our past, or the pain that we have suffered. We are all worthy of love. We are all worthy to experience joy. I am here today to tell you that mental health is real, addiction is real, but we are not alone. Thunder Bay has an amazing community of recovery and mental health. I am so grateful to be here today, sober, and surrounded by people who accept me as I am, people who are always ready and willing to love me until I'm ready to love myself. Thank you for having me, and thank you for being a part of my story.